Something strange is growing at the Gwyn Hall this May, and it's got a taste for you. Get ready for Little Shop of Horrors, a wild, wacky, and wickedly funny musical packed with toe-tapping tunes, outrageous comedy, and one very hungry planet. Will hapless Florist Seymour find fame, fortune, and love, or will Audrey 2 take a bite out of the town? There's only one way to find out. Little Shop of Horrors, live at the Gwyn Hall from the 6th to the 10th of May. Book your tickets now before it's too late. Get your tickets at gwynhall.com or call 0300 365 6677. Hello and welcome back to the Stage 8 podcast. We have got a really exciting episode today because this is the first of our staff profile episodes, and we are joined by the wonderful Eve Darling.
Hi. What are you making me do?
I am absolutely thriving off your nervous energy
I know.
today. It's just...
I walked in like, oh my gosh.
I know. It's so funny. You're just sitting there and I can just see that you're like, what am I doing?
What's
it's
he gonna
just
ask?
us.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
us
I
in
know.
a
That's
room.
it. That's it. No, it's lovely. It's really nice. And like, I think if any students are watching, this is what I look like when I make an effort, because they don't see this in class. My hair's
Well,
scraped back, no makeup.
You got a job to do.
Exactly. I don't want to be sweating any makeup off. I want to
No,
keep
what a
it
waste.
safe. You know,
Yeah,
exactly.
of your bestie,
I
best makeup. Yeah.
Exactly. Best life.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's just me, you,
Yes.
and obviously producer Kath is behind the mixing desk today. She's not on mic with us, and we
She's
miss
not.
her.
We do.
We miss her.
So close, but yet so far.
I know. So it's just us and the thousands of
Yes.
people that watch. So
I know.
just think of it that way.
I'll just think that way. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's
Absolutely
just
fine.
a chit chat between
Yeah.
two friends.
Love it.
So yeah, it's very exciting to have you
Yeah,
on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You are the first staff profile on the podcast.
Mhm.
So it needs to be, you set the bar
Set
for
the bar.
everybody else.
Well, it's only going to get better, isn't it?
Well,
From here.
If you just set the bar really
I'll leave it low.
Really, really low. So how are things? What's
Yeah.
news? We have a little chit chat for the first few minutes and then we get
love
into
it.
it,
Yeah, lovely. Well, we just come back in after half term,
We
so
have.
we're kind of now getting back into routine of things, which is lovely.
Did you have a nice half term?
Yeah, it was lovely. It went very quickly.
Always does.
Yeah, but it was kind of relaxing. We didn't have any plans
That's the
really.
best.
Yeah, Liam was working, partner, so he was busy out there.
Sorry,
but,
partner. No,
sorry, fiance. I'm
fiancé.
so used to saying partner, fiance.
He liked it, so
He
he
put a ring
on
on it.
it.
But yeah, so he's been working, so we were just kind of chilling in the house and then
Nice.
having like a couple of days out here and there. But
Stunning.
yeah, nice and
Can't fault it.
relaxed. No.
Nice to get back into it though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I love having time off. I love the
Mm,
holidays.
Yeah,
I love all of that. But then I'm like, as soon as Sunday night comes, I'm like itching to get back.
yeah. That's
then.
it. Routine.
I can't
like the
sleep then
routine.
Sunday night. It always happens. I can switch off
Yeah,
for the week of half term.
yeah,
And then the Sunday night, I can't sleep because everything's going through my mind
Yeah.
of what needs to happen the next week.
yeah.
And especially now with the podcast and everything, we got such a,
A
quite
lot going
a
on
big
now. Yeah,
like filming schedule, and we can't. Bless her, she's just nodding as she cries in the
yeah.
background.
It's rocking in the
Um,
corner.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
I do love it, but then I'm just
Yeah.
always ready to get back.
Yeah,
And I
I'm the
do.
opposite to you. See,
Oh yeah.
I can't switch off until about the Tuesday because I'm
Ah,
like, oh well, Monday feels like a Sunday because no, I'm going back to work
Yeah.
tomorrow, and then it's like, well, no, you're not actually, and it's like, oh, and then you can relax, and it's like, oh right,
Yeah.
it's the weekend, you go, we're back in now,
back
but
in,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's when I get home on the Friday night, and the kids are saying, "Well, what about this for stage 8? And what about that for stage 8?" I'm like, "No, I'm not in work for the next week, so I do not discuss it for the next week.
That's it,
I'm
that's
having
it.
time off."
yeah,
I think that's something I had to learn really early on in the business
Mm.
because I found that I was always 24/7, 365
yeah,
thinking about work.
yeah.
I didn't take any time off
No, that's it.
because that's the momentum you have to have when you grow in a business.
Yeah,
So, and I think quite quickly, and I think I was mentioning to Kath at the beginning of this year, the end of last year, I was completely burnt out because we've
Yeah.
been so busy.
Mm.
Big life changes as well
yeah,
for
yeah,
us and
exactly.
stuff. So I just got to the point where I was like, oh God,
Yeah,
exhausted. So this year I was like, right, you need to balance that better, which I am,
yeah.
which is lush, but it's exciting year.
It is an exciting
10
year. I
years.
know.
Can you believe it?
I can't believe. Like I wouldn't have said 10 years ago when I was sat on your sofa
Yeah,
going, so what are we gonna do?
I know.
That we'd be here 10 years later.
It's overwhelming.
Everything that's happened in between,
Mhm.
and now a podcast as well.
Yeah.
I would have never,
Yeah.
ever in my wildest dreams said we'd be
50
here.
productions this year.
It's crazy.
No, sorry. To clarify, we're not doing 50 productions this year.
And this is where I hand in my notice.
We hit number 50 this year, which is
Yeah.
just it's ridiculous, really, isn't it? You know,
When we break it down, break it down.
that's why we're all so grey.
Yeah, I know. I used
But
to look so
it's
young and thriving with life.
okay.
Shh,
Um,
you.
hey, when I look back at those photos from
Yeah,
the first day,
exactly.
I'm like, who is that lovely skinny boy?
Where's he
10
gone?
years, 10 stone. But hey, I'm a beautiful person. We're all beautiful people.
Exactly.
So shall we get into the pod?
Why not?
So we've
not?
got a little tradition on this podcast
Yeah.
that every guest that we have, we ask them this question, okay?
Yeah.
So if you had to prescribe a show on the NHS for everybody,
Hmm.
what would it be and why? So this is a show that everybody should have to see, mandatory. What would it be and why?
I feel that this answer could change weekly with me
Mm,
because it depends on my mood, I think, would depend on my answer. I think for modern and for everybody to kind of just go with it and enjoy it, I think 100% Hairspray. It's got a bit of everything in it.
yeah,
It's got it's got the powerful message behind it,
yeah.
the upbeat music, but it's got soul, it's got a heart to it. And the dancing and the colours and everything. It's just wow in your face.
You're the second person to say
Have
that.
I? Yeah.
Yeah.
But me, being me, I prefer old school musicals.
Okay.
So I would say something like 42nd Street,
Oh, beautiful.
Singing in the Rain, Crazy for You,
Are you only allowed to pick
Calamity
one,
Jane.
Eve?
This is where I am. This
A
is who I am.
mashup of
I
them
can't. I
all.
want them all together in one little bowl, please. Yeah,
If I had to pick from those four that you just said, it would
yeah,
definitely be 42nd Street.
yeah, yeah,
It is just incredible. It's a
yeah.
spectacle, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think all these shows from years ago are so wonderful. And I think it's just such a shame that nobody kind of wants to go to see these things unless they are
Yeah,
like in like Cardiff arena and things like that. Like
yeah,
if local people did it who are
yeah.
just as talented,
Oh my gosh, yeah,
but you just can't sell them, and it's such a
yeah,
shame. But those are the types of ones that I would be like, yeah, gung
yeah.
ho for every single time.
There's
But
been
yeah,
a shift in the industry, I
it
guess,
has.
especially
Yeah.
in the kind of regional and local theatre industry
Mm,
where you are struggling more with
yeah.
those older titles
Yeah.
because everyone is always
Yeah.
fighting for the newest
This is
thing.
it. This is it.
But there's still so much merit in the
Oh
the
my
the
gosh. Yeah.
oldies.
Yeah.
You know, things like your Olivers and your Annies, they're always
Mm.
going to sell.
They're always
You
gonna
know what
sell.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's your South
Yeah.
Pacifics, your Anything
Yeah.
Goes, your
Yeah. I mean, there's shows that potentially we can't do now. They are too dated, and
yeah,
it's not really the culture that we're in anymore.
yeah,
However, I think like Carrie Hope Fletcher,
yeah,
she's bringing Calamity Jane around now again,
yeah,
isn't it? And I'm
yeah,
just hoping that that kind of momentum
yeah,
will start bringing all the older ones back in for the
yeah.
younger generation to start liking again, because they're kind of grown up on the Sixes, the Hamiltons,
Yes,
that
the
generation.
modern
Yeah,
musical,
exactly.
yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that,
No,
but they've come from somewhere, and that somewhere is long, long time ago on the
yeah, the
musicals
golden
that
age, yeah,
nobody wants to do because, oh, it's not modern. I want to do,
yeah,
and I think
yeah,
it'd be a lovely shift if that could come back round
yeah.
soon. But yeah.
You are
Mm.
seeing some kind of production houses in kind of London who are
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
new spins on these productions.
That's
Like,
it.
for
Yeah.
example, Carousel I worked on in London.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful new
Yeah.
iteration of it.
Mm.
Regent's Park did Fiddler on the Roof last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
They've had 13 noms for the Olivier's.
That's amazing.
13.
13. Unlucky for
That's
some,
wild.
not them.
Well, very lucky for
Not
them, I'm
them.
sure.
Exactly.
I think they're going to take the
Yeah.
sweep.
Yeah.
And this year, what are they doing this year? Oh, Lordy Mare. Hold on. I have to tell you now because I've talked about it so much.
Yeah.
But you are seeing a lot of
Yeah,
people
because they did
reworking.
Oklahoma, and they did a full switch on that, didn't they? They had
Yeah,
everybody playing an instrument on stage, didn't they? And
yeah.
that was lovely to.
You're seeing now
Yeah.
that people are Brigadoon, of course.
Oh my gosh,
Brigadoon.
I grew up watching
Do you want to go see
Brigadoon.
it with me? Do you want to go to London and see it?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
go.
we'll go. You are seeing a lot of
We're gone.
places,
Bye. We're gone.
and don't get me wrong, I'm biased. I love
Yeah,
Regent's Park Open Air Theatre.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is my happy place. But there's not just them. Lots and lots and lots of people are starting to bring back new versions of the classics, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that people are kind of reworking old material.
Yeah, this
And
is it.
I think if I was to say one thing to local and regional theatre
Mm,
is to not be afraid to do that.
this is it. This is
Because
it.
yes, you are going to get some old stalwarts who are like,
Mm,
oh, it's not the way it's meant to be, but theatre is subjective,
yeah.
theatre is art,
Yeah.
and you should be trying to put new spins on things.
That's
And I
it.
think that's something that we came into last year, especially
Mm,
trying to put into our work, especially with things like
yeah.
Oliver,
Yeah, exactly.
now a Little Shop of Horrors,
Mm,
and our production of Into the Woods Junior that's coming up
yeah.
in just under a
Yeah.
month
That's
here
exciting.
at the Stage Live, and tickets are available. It's nice to be creative and
Mm,
rework things
yeah.
differently.
And ultimately, the story never changes.
No,
It's just our kind of creative input inside of it to kind of bring it into this modern generation,
absolutely,
which
yeah.
will attract more audiences
Yeah,
again, then,
and that's
and
what I think that's what's going to keep those
yeah.
old titles alive.
Yeah, and I think it's lovely that it is slowly happening out in London, where they are
Yeah,
bringing these old ones back, because it will trickle
it does.
back down into the communities
Exactly.
then, which will
It
be great.
filters out
Yeah,
eventually, doesn't
yeah,
it?
that's it.
Beautiful. So that's
Yeah,
a good answer. Well done.
yeah,
Thank you
it's
for
so many
that.
answers, but it took about 10 hours. Sorry, this podcast is long.
You did threaten me that you had a
I
lot to
did say
say.
I've got a lot to say.
So this may be
I'm
our
relaxed now.
first. Yeah.
You told me not. You told me to relax. You're regretting it now.
Oh man, it's all right. We can cut.
Just see me. Hi, bye.
We realized that we had a bit of feedback from the first episode that
Mm.
we never introduced ourselves. So I'm Jay, and I'm the company director
Hi, Jay.
of Stage 8, and Kath is our technical director. So
She
who are
is.
you in the process? Who are you in the company?
My title's changed quite a few
It
times though, hasn't
has,
it?
hasn't it?
Yeah. Originally I was choreographer to the company.
Choreographer.
Choreographer. Depends on how Jay spells it on the back of my jumper. And then I can never wear it ever again. And then I changed to assistant creative director, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah. So that I think that's my official title. But I
I think
kind
you're
of
deputy creative director now.
deputy. Oh, is
Yeah.
it one step up? Is
No, I think that's on your
there?
Facebook page.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't check it clearly.
Yeah. So you're second in charge, basically.
Yeah.
So it guys, it goes me, you and Kath together, in different departments. It's so funny because in the video you just look like you're waving
I
to no
know
one.
it is.
She is there.
Kath
She's
is there.
definitely
I'm not weird. I am, but
Um, and then obviously teaching staff, etc.
yeah.
But yeah, so you are and always have been really without
Mm,
the title previously, but you've always
yeah.
been kind of second in command.
Mm,
And well, actually, when I was away for a couple of years, you
yeah,
were
yeah.
first in
Oh,
command.
yeah. That was a lovely little bomb you dropped on me, wasn't it?
But that should be the biggest compliment for
It
you.
was. But it was like it came out. Like for me, I just come back off maternity leave.
Yeah, threw you in the
COVID
deep end.
hit,
Yeah.
and then all of that happened, and we muddled through, and
Hmm.
we kept going, and we kept thriving, and we kept striving, and then by the way, I'm going now.
Yeah, just as classes
Just
were
as
opening back up.
classes, all the kids were coming back in. Um, I'm off.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bye,
great.
Bessie.
Bye.
And I think when I look back to that time, it
Mm,
was the absolute right thing to do, because I think the way I looked at it was Gemma had supported my dreams for
yeah,
so
yeah.
many
Oh
years
yeah, 100%.
that her working up there in Great Ormond
Mm,
Street was her. That was the winning the Olivier Award of the
yeah,
theatre world. Do you know what I mean? For her
yeah.
working there, as a paediatric nurse, it was the
Mm,
place for her to be.
yeah.
And we had to just drop everything and
Mm,
go.
yeah.
And it was amazing. But what was nice is, like, I was coming back and forth to
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
home.
yeah.
I spent so many hours on trains.
Mm.
Like, do you know the first time I was like, "Ooh, train!" I got my little drink, I got my little snacks, I got my iPad. I'm having a lovely old time. And then, like, when it was the 48th time I was like, "Oh, just get me back to London, or just get me back to Neath." I was just like, "Oh God, it was
Yeah,
painful,
yeah,
painful." But
yeah,
some great stuff
yeah,
happened during that time as well.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Mm,
so really, really fantastic productions happened,
yeah.
and it was such a good time as well for me to have such security in what we've built together.
Mm, yeah,
It was just awesome.
yeah.
So bit of a silly question maybe, but some people may know, how long have you been a part of the company?
Since the birth
You were
of it,
there.
I was there.
You were there
I was there
at the
in
inception. And the birth.
and the birth. I was there for it all.
You were.
Yeah. I had the phone call from you or a text message. I can't remember what it was. They were saying, so we've kind of done this before. Do you want to fancy doing it again? And I was like, well, I'm kind of free, so
Yeah.
yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, and I just remember coming to your house then and just sitting down with you and Gemma and just
I was.
hours there, weren't we? And
I
just
was.
chatting away about like how we're gonna change it up slightly. Not, the ethos was always the same with us. We've always had the same ethos
Yeah.
of making sure that it's affordable and good quality training for these
Yeah.
children. And without it feeling like training because it's
Yeah.
going to be fun. But to try and make things tweak a little bit to make it work. And
Yeah.
it was just lovely to sit down and just have that kind of full blown discussion with you guys and just go, right, okay, where do we go now and what do we call it? And that was that was fun.
That was the hardest part. And
It
we did
was.
and like I
Yeah.
said in the first podcast, we didn't get to that
No,
answer.
no.
And it was just banging ahead
Yeah.
against the brick wall. I was like,
Yeah.
what's going to be called?
Mm,
But yeah, we got there eventually. In 10
we did.
years, then has
I know.
just actually flown away.
It have, haven't it?
It's crazy to think what's happened in 10 years.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Even just outside of stage 8 as well, our personal
Yeah.
lives as well.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
crazy.
I know.
You had the
I know.
first stage 8 baby.
I did, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little Elliot.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got married.
Yeah.
Like you
I had
are
just
nearly
started my relationship with Liam,
Liam, yeah,
when
and
we
now
started stage
yeah.
8, and now we're getting married next
yeah.
year.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
so much has happened in life
Yeah, I
in
know.
general. Do
Exactly.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
crazy. But it's just it's nice that we're all still like the core team is still here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that for me is just like stunning. Like we were saying on I think podcast 1 that we've still got students from the first day. Like
Yeah.
our staff hasn't really changed from the first day.
No,
People
no.
are coming in and out here and there
Yeah, yeah,
as they
exactly.
do.
Yeah.
But the core team,
Mm.
the kind of senior team, if you like, has
Yeah.
never changed.
No.
Which is testament to all of us. I think it's
Yeah.
not just me. I think it's testament to everybody of how well everyone works together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's always frustrations and whatever, as there is.
But
But
that's
I think
in every
yeah,
aspect of life anyway, isn't
and
it?
it's never us against each other. It's
No.
always us against the problem, which is always a
Yeah.
good thing. I
This
think.
is it. Yeah. And it's
Especially
working
in the
against the
arts.
solution. And I just
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes, like, if I'm not feeling, I'm like, oh, you need to do that.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. And sometimes you're not feeling, you're like, you need to do that. And I'm like, yeah, cool.
I don't even need to tell you. I just look at you and you're like, yeah, she's not up for it
I'll
today.
just do that a minute. I'll just do that a minute.
Yeah.
And if both of us aren't feeling it, we just look at Kath.
Yeah. And Kat's like, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
She's
you
like,
problem.
yeah, sounds like a you problem. So tell us, like, your background in the arts. You don't need to go back to your conception or birth. No, definitely not your conception. But tell us about like your background in theatre and where you've been and what you've done.
Yeah. Well, ever since I can remember, I've always been doing something within this industry. Like when I was little, I was painfully shy, and even so, like up to, I don't know, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
to the point where I would never kind of put my hand up. I would never be like, oh, pick me. I'd always kind of wait for somebody. Yeah, I'd always wait for somebody to go, oh, Eve, would you like to have a go?
Yeah.
Or would you like to try for this part or something like that? So because I was so shy and painfully shy, I'd cry if somebody sang happy birthday to me. I'd run away because I wouldn't like anybody looking at me. And then my mum and dad signed me up with my nana to dance school, Hazel Johnson School of Dancing. And I stayed there and I thrived on stage. Like that was kind of where I didn't feel self-conscious. And
Funny, isn't
it's
it?
really strange because people were looking at me and people were clapping but I was with my friends and I wasn't myself. I was being a dancer at the time. I had my tap shoes on and I kind of realized, oh, actually, that's not too bad. But then in my real life, oh, please don't.
Isn't it funny? And I find that a lot with a lot of our students as well, that in the big bad world, they're quite shy, quite quiet, keep themselves to themselves. They walk through that door and
then they just, exactly.
It's I think people like look at me in the similar vein and they think, oh, he's super confident. I'm not.
No,
definitely not.
Yeah.
But when you put me in that role, I'm like, this is comfortable.
Yeah, that's it. Like at home, I can't make a phone call to a bill company. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. Liam, please do it. Please do it. And he's like, oh, come on, you're on stage normally. And I'm like, I just can't.
I get that all the
I really
time.
get anxious about doing things like that. But I suppose that's where everybody thrives differently in different
Mm.
parts of their lives and stuff. And for me, growing up, then my mum and dad were always so brilliant and pushing me, not like pushy parents, go, no,
Yeah.
you will be a star. It was just like, right, if you want to do this, let's do it, and we'll
Yeah.
find a way to get you to do it. And from dancing, then I went into acting to try and get my confidence up a bit.
Yeah.
Just doing like lambda exams and things like that, because they did that back way back when in my day, and
100 years
years late.
ago.
And then for singing, my parents signed me up for singing lessons with Jeff Squires, bless his soul. But he was brilliant because I started when I was 7, but I only wanted to go and sing. But he was very much like, I'm not going to train you because women's voices mature later on than men. So we'll just sing and everything. That got my confidence up to sing and be able to kind of go, oh, I can do that in school and I can sing in
Yeah.
school. And then at a certain point, he just started, he didn't say, now I will train you. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a, a Star
Phantom of the
Wars.
Opera
Yeah,
moment, like.
yeah. Sing, my angel. No, it wasn't like that. But it was very much like he started doing things differently. And I realized he's training me now rather than helping me just get my
Yeah.
confidence. And he was, fantastic in pulling my confidence. And then from there, went to Gosainon College, which is Gower College now, and then into Guildford School of Acting, which I was, very, very lucky to get a scholarship. Otherwise, there would have been no way I could have gone on to that
Yeah.
pathway. And, I've got quite a lot of friends who would have loved to have done that in the past, but financially,
Oh,
it's it's
it's a big
it's a
financial
big, big thing.
commitment.
Even these days and age, with all the grants and things that are out there, it's still hard to get into. But back then,
Yeah.
you'd have to write off to companies to say, "Would you sponsor me 100
Yeah.
quid just to see if I could like
Get
last
something.
you
And
something?"
that's it. And
Mm,
I think these days as well, the everything is more expensive anyway. So you
mm,
just being a student, even on a fully funded university course,
yeah,
is difficult
it
now.
really is.
And you see students having to work 2 or 3 jobs to supplement
Yeah,
their life.
yeah.
But then the cost of arts tuition is it's really, really
Yeah,
expensive.
it is. It
And
is.
it definitely prices out a lot of people,
Mm,
which is worrying. I gotta say though, you do see a lot of the schools and the conservatoires and universities and stuff.
mm.
They offer a lot of like, incentives and a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
they do the best they can, but obviously
yeah.
they've got costs to cover as well. I
Exactly.
get
Yeah,
it, it's
yeah.
business, but
100%.
I do often sit and think, oh, who is out there who can't attain that yet?
That's it. Yeah.
Because of financial
Yeah.
pressures and
That's
stuff.
it, exactly. And you think to yourself, there's so many people that would have loved to have done it and would have been talented enough to have done it,
Yeah,
but weren't lucky enough to get places like that.
yeah.
And then there are people that, have got the money to do it, but maybe not the talent, not quite
Yeah.
there. But, they'll take, it's one
It's
of those things.
yeah,
But
it's
ultimately, the colleges aren't going to take people that they think are
no.
just there financially either. It's
No,
going to
gosh,
be,
yeah.
but you just think, I feel for some people that just genuinely haven't got
Yeah.
the financial background, because
Yeah.
there could be stars in the making here, there, and everywhere. But these days and ages, there's so many other ways
Oh
to
my
get
gosh,
there
isn't there
now
just?
than it was years ago.
I think we're at a precipice
Yeah,
now where there's people are entering the industry in so many different
this is
ways,
it. This is it.
you
And social
know.
media is such a big help with things like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Never, Facebook, internet was just barely a thing
Yeah.
back in my day,
Yeah, back in day.
back in day. But and this is why I keep saying, like, because my stepson Taylor is in Emile Dale, and I'm like, well, you need to have a lot more social media presence, because that's the industry these days. You're
Yeah.
selling yourself as a brand,
Yeah.
not just,
And that's what it is.
this is it. Yeah,
It's I think the quicker people or young people who are going into the
yeah.
industry learn that they are now a an asset, a brand,
This is it.
a
Yeah,
commodity,
yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to just an individual talent,
Exactly, yeah.
is the quicker they learn that, the
Mm,
better.
yeah,
But what you're finding is through the rise of social media,
mm,
podcast, YouTube, etc.,
yeah,
that new forms of art, if you
yeah,
like, have developed.
yeah, yeah,
You look at some of the biggest podcasts around, and I referenced GK Barry back in my first
yeah, yeah,
podcast. Um, she now takes that podcast on tour.
yeah,
She's selling
yeah.
out
It's
arenas.
phenomenal, isn't
That
it?
is theatre in
Yeah,
itself,
yeah,
and that's come
exactly.
from somebody who had a passion for
Mm,
social media back
yeah,
during the pandemic
yeah,
and did TikTok and all that type of stuff.
mm,
And look what that's become. She was on I'm a Celeb,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and you've got to think that there are so many different routes to do, like, I guess my advice to young people out there
Yeah.
would be, don't be disheartened if
No,
the
no.
traditional drama school route isn't your way
Exactly,
in,
exactly.
because there are so many
Yeah.
ways in.
And I think that's the thing, is like that old fashioned thing of, oh, well, you've got to do this and you've got to do
Yeah,
that. But just because that person or I've done it or anything doesn't mean
yeah,
that that's the only way you
yeah,
can. There's so many different ways now that
yeah.
you can.
I think so.
Yeah.
And what's nice is I'm seeing more of a rise in young people who want to go into production,
Mm,
backstage stuff,
yeah.
who want to
Yeah.
go into producing work,
Yeah.
directing work,
Yeah.
um, hair, makeup, costume, because they're
Mm,
realizing it's a massive
yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
It's not just your being on stage singing.
No, that's it. Exactly.
It's
100%.
huge, and there's
Yeah.
look, at the end of the day, production can't go ahead without all the
No.
pieces in place.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
that's the producers, the directors, the musicians, the
Yeah.
MDs, the front of house
Yeah.
team. They
Yeah.
all always get looked over, the front of house team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Without them, that show doesn't go ahead.
That's it.
Ticketing,
Yeah.
theatre management.
Yeah. But Joe Bloggs turning up into that theatre doesn't see that.
No, that's it. You see the
Yeah.
stars on the stage.
That's it.
But I think as well, for us, it's so nice to be able to go to a theatre and be like, thank you and
Yeah.
you and you, because without you guys,
Yeah.
this wouldn't I wouldn't be sat here.
No. And
You
it's so
know?
lovely that we've got some students that have wanted to come in to see the technical side of things
Yeah.
and actually joining us for shows and actually sitting up with the tech box with Kath and, doing things like that
We
and
take
building
Marcus
scenery.
as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
A very talented young boy,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you won't mind me talking about him. Very talented young boy.
He's a friend of the podcast, isn't he?
He is a friend of the podcast. Um, Excellent on stage, brilliant
Mm,
presence, excellent singer,
yeah.
blah blah blah. Loves the backstage stuff.
Yeah.
Loves being in the tech box.
Yeah.
He's done, how many shows has he done? A number of shows. A few shows.
Mm,
Cabaret nights for us. He's doing
yeah.
learning the sound, the lighting.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant that
Yeah.
they're taking interest in other
That's it.
things.
Exactly.
And as something we've started to really push now as well is like
Mm,
getting the older kids to come and help with the get-ins for the show.
yeah.
So they understand the work that goes into putting on a
That's it.
production when they're
Yeah.
dragging bits of set off a lorry, and you know what I mean.
And you can test going up that ladder now.
Yeah, and we're sitting
'Cause
there
you
with
built
a
it.
with a Costa, and we're like, have a lovely time.
Yeah.
No, we're very much are there.
Other brands available.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor.
This will become a recurring theme. So how did you find drama school? Did you enjoy?
I loved it.
You were a young lady
I
then.
was a very young lady. I was 19
Or was
because
it
I
like
took
2
a
years
year.
ago?
Yeah, of course. Flick, flick, toss, toss. Um, wicked,
toss.
wicked reference.
Ball gown.
Ball gown. Yeah, no, I was 19 because I took a year out after Gosainon College because
Did you have a gap year?
I had a gap year. Didn't call
Did you
it.
go anywhere in your gap year?
So I went back to Gosainon College
right,
for a
okay.
month, only because for that second year, everyone was like, right, applying for college.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of a home bird. Very, like I said, still shy, still stepping back and letting others
Yeah.
kind of go when I'm going, please pick me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I don't know if I want to go. I don't know if I'm ready. By the time everybody was starting to get their acceptance letters, I was like, oh, I wish I'd done it. And it was too late.
The boat had
The
left.
boat had left. So I was like, right. So I spoke to my lecturers and they were like, right, come back for a month. We'll help you with all your forms and
Oh, that's
everything,
nice.
which was lovely.
Yeah.
And they said, do another production with us. So I kind of did honk with them. I was just in the background, just having a laugh or
Yeah.
whatever. Not a laugh. I was very professional.
Yeah.
And then I just went and got a couple of little jobs here and there. I
Nice.
did like an after-school drama thing for my old school in
Nice.
Pentre Harvard. So I did that for a couple of months, which was lovely. And then the time came then for auditions and, going here, there and everywhere.
And off you went.
And then off I went.
All the way to
yeah,
Surrey.
Surrey.
Beautiful part of the world.
Lovely, stunning, beautiful, especially Guildford with its canals and everything. But it's very like a Jekyll and Hyde town. In the
Yeah.
day, it's all pearls and everything. And the
Yeah.
night, it's wild.
Yeah,
so,
I bet, yeah.
so you've got to kind of, when am I? What time do I need to be home?
Yeah, witching hour.
Yeah. But no, it was lovely, and it was very like central to London as well. So if we did ever want to pop and
perfect.
see a show, it was a lovely little commute. But yeah, the 3 years flew. Taught by industry, like
Yeah.
specialists, the people that I would have never even thought of
Yeah.
I'd ever get within like breathing distance
Yeah.
of. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm getting taught by these people, and the training that you get, and the the fitness that you get from it, and then the help to then get agents and
Yeah.
moving on from there. And it's well, but they give you the support so that you're prepared and you're ready to
Yeah.
go. And that's what I found is when I developed my thick skin then is when I was going out for
Had to.
auditions.
Yeah.
Because the first time I'm a very heart on my sleeve kind of girl. You know me, I'll cry at a drop of a
You cry
hat.
every day.
I cry all the time. Um, and I was finding that I was going to an audition, waiting for my phone to ring, if my agent's going to ring, no, 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 no. And then I'd be devastated and, oh, I'm not good enough. And then I thought, do you know what? I've got to kind of forget about it. And I was going to like 15 auditions a day and kind of then going, oh, do you know what?
Yeah.
Forget about it. So when the
It's not
phone calls
personal. That's the
came
thing, isn't
for
it?
recalls, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that the no's kind of didn't matter anymore. It
Yeah.
was the yeses that
Focus on
were
them.
the better. So yeah, and it kind of it prepared me, but you still got a heart and you still got, your
Oh,
own
you, of
little,
course you have
you still
feelings
got
and
feelings.
emotions, and
So you've got to take the rough with the smooth. But when the
when the good
when the
times
good
came,
times come,
you
it
can
was
enjoy them even more then, isn't it?
exactly,
Because you haven't got
exactly.
yourself into such a low
No,
place,
no, that's
you
it,
know?
exactly. So yeah, and when you do get the great experiences, then it's like, oh, it was all worth it, especially
Yeah.
all that training and all the time and effort that your family have put into you and things like
Yeah.
that. It's there we are, worth it. But yeah,
Love that.
mm,
Love that.
yeah,
It's definitely something I think that, that the young people going into it now need to
mm.
really realize that the no's are not personal.
No, then
They just
really
got a
not.
job to do. They need to
Yeah,
cast a show. They need to
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
You were just another face of a million that
yeah,
they've seen that day.
yeah.
Don't take it personally.
No,
Lift yourself up and move
yeah,
on.
yeah,
Because if you keep dwelling on that negativity,
mm,
you're gonna spiral.
yeah,
You're gonna burn yourself out, and you'll be
yeah.
out of it as quick as you're in it.
Yeah,
If
I
I'm
was sat in
honest.
an audition room once, and there was 5 girls sat next to me, and they all looked exactly like me, same colour hair, same colour eyes, same kind of build,
Yeah.
and all that was going to differentiate with us was our voice when
Yeah.
we went in. And you're just sitting there and you think to yourself, at that point, how?
Yeah.
How?
It's not
How
a
are they
job
going?
I'd
It's
want as
it's
a casting
not a
director.
casting director is really hard,
Yeah.
but also just to sit there and go,
Mm.
okay, I get it. It's
Yeah.
going to be really tough.
Yeah.
And I think personally, if you're one of these types of people that get more no's than you do yeses,
Yeah.
that's going to stand you in good stead because
Of
I
course it
got a
is.
lot of no's.
Yeah.
So when you do get those yeses, you're like, well, I've worked for them because those no's can make somebody go, I'm not going to bother and do it anymore.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
ones that keep pursuing it
Yeah.
are the ones that really want to do it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of noticing now is that the
Mm,
industry is changing,
mm,
and we are seeing more diversity,
yeah.
more variety
Yeah.
in casting
Yeah. And
choices,
it's wonderful.
and it's nice to see because for
Mm,
so many years it was stuck in this old,
yeah.
antiquated kind of
Yep.
system.
Mhm.
And from my time up there for the couple of years I was working in
Mm.
London, the seeing the differences that are coming through now
Yeah.
is absolutely fantastic. And I
Yeah.
was quite fortunate to be privy to a lot of kind of conversations
Mm.
of casting and
Yeah.
production when I worked at the other palace.
Yeah.
And it was lovely to see the producers really thinking about the
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really trying to create opportunities for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's not taking opportunities away from one demographic of people. It's just
No,
trying
no, no,
to
no.
balance the playing field for
Yeah.
everyone.
And it's lovely to see that. And it is about time that it
Yeah,
is happening because, you know, again, back in the day, it was unless you're a size
yeah,
this or you've got blue eyes for
yeah,
this. I went for a TV program and I went for it and they were looking for a Welsh girl and she had to be this and this and
yeah.
that. Oh, you're perfect, but you don't have blue eyes.
Crazy.
And I was like, I could wear contacts.
Of
No,
course you
we'll
could.
see it on the TV. And at that point, they had, things like high
Isn't it
definition and
mad?
things like that. It's crazy. But nowadays, it's like, well, that doesn't matter.
Talent is talent.
This is it.
And
Yeah.
I truly think that, and
And I think
I've
it's a
always thought
wonderful,
that
yeah.
with our productions, the talent
Mm,
is talent, and if
mm,
you're right and suitable for the role, you get the role.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you don't look stereotypically of the part, I don't
Doesn't
care.
matter.
You are good at it. You can sing
Yeah.
it, you can act it, you can dance it.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
That's it. That's
And
it.
that then I think is something that we've fostered in Stage 8, that people
Mm,
can go for whatever they think they'd be
yeah.
good at.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I don't think I look like that character
This is
was
it.
played on the West End. Like,
Mm,
who cares?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, exactly. And even if they think to themselves, I don't think I'm right for this part, but I really want to give it a go.
Go for
And
it.
that's what I love seeing then, especially like if they've, they haven't, there's a couple of kids that haven't been here for a couple of, like 1 week, 2 weeks,
Mm,
and they're still auditioning. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's brilliant.
yeah,
That's lovely to see.
yeah.
So they feel
But also, where have you
comfortable
been?
enough. Yeah.
Hopefully they emailed and let us know.
Yes, they did.
Lovely jubbly. If you had to look back over the last 10 years and pick what is your standout moment of the last 10 years? Like, what is your best memory?
When you left. I'm joking. I'm
I
joking.
thought you were gonna. I thought you.
I think that's going to be cut 100%.
No, it's not.
That's saying that's comedy gold.
I thought you were gonna say my 30th birthday party. That is not suitable for the
That
podcast,
no,
Miss Eve, is
no.
it?
Well, I
No, it's not.
no, I was poorly. I can't help it. Anyway, so moving on. No,
Best
my
memory.
my best memory, I think, was the very first show that we came together to do as Stage 8 as a very first, that was the
It was
night
the
before
night before
Christmas.
Christmas.
So that was a lovely thing because it was like the kind of everybody's,
It was
kind of
exciting,
emotions.
wasn't
We
it?
were excited, we were ready to
Yeah.
go. Um, but I think as well, my kind of top moment was finally getting to do We Will Rock You and Honk,
Oh,
because
I
we had
know.
rehearsed those shows for 2 years. That show, I think I've choreographed about 30 times because it had to keep changing for
Yeah.
different reasons, socially distancing. Then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
we could get a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And I think that moment where that
They went
show,
on
they went on
stage.
stage and it happened and the curtains came down, I bawled like a
Yes,
baby
I
because
remember.
I think it was just that whole thing of,
I think
oh,
we had just been they'd been plodding along for
yeah.
so
And they
long.
kept with us though
I
throughout
know.
the
All
whole
the
time.
cast did.
And it was that
We
whole thing
never
of,
thought we'd do them.
no, no,
I
never
think I
thought that
think
show
we
was happening.
I think we discussed even whether we were going to even
Mm,
continue with them, but we were like, no, we have to.
yeah,
And we committed so much time, energy, and resource
yeah,
to them. But obviously, there was lockdown after lockdown after lockdown, and it
mm,
just pushed us back and back and back.
mm,
And we ended up having to do them all here at this Digital
yeah,
Live Am because
yeah.
we couldn't get
Couldn't,
into a
no,
theatre, and they were sensational.
yeah, yeah,
As I remember, I think they were probably the most energetic productions because people were just
yeah.
gagging to be back
That's
on
it, yeah.
stage.
And the children were so excited, and just to see their little faces when that curtain
Oh,
fell,
I know.
and they were all bawling, and I was crying, you
I
were
know I'm starting to get
emotional.
emotional
I
now
know, and
thinking
I
about
feel
it.
honestly, every time I think about it, I get
I
chills
know. Whoa.
thinking about that moment. It was like that moment of we're back.
We're back. We're back,
Yeah.
baby.
And
And from there, we just went nuts.
yeah, yeah. Let's do 25 shows a year.
But
Oh.
it's funny actually when you think about bloody COVID comes up all the time, doesn't it? But when
Mm.
you think
But
about
it's a big
it,
part of our
it
history
is.
now.
And if you think about it, we come into what is it? We're filming this on the 5th of March.
Mm,
In 9 days' time and 5 years ago is
mm.
when we locked down
Yeah.
completely. And every time that video comes up on
Mm,
Facebook, because obviously I did a little video to
yeah.
put on
Oh, it
saying,
breaks me every time I look back at
um,
that.
we're going to be closed down. Hopefully, it'll only be till after Easter. That was wishful
I
thinking, wasn't it?
know, I
But I was
know.
just trying to be positive about it. And the little quiver in my lip, every time I watch it, I just sob
Yeah,
because it was the
yeah.
hardest time.
It was. It was really
Like
hard. I'd only been
crazy.
back a week.
Yeah, you
I'd
had.
come off maternity.
Yeah.
I'd been back a week. I
And
remember
we were
putting a
gone.
post up in my t-shirt, ready to go.
Yeah.
And then you were like, well, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You
It was
came
because you
back.
come back.
You.
But it's funny because there was rumblings. There was
Mm,
rumblings of all this, even when we were doing Greece. And I was like, please God, just let us get
yeah,
Greece
that's right.
done.
Yeah.
And we did. We did
Yeah.
Greece down in Yscol by Baglan. And it was wonderful, actually. That was
Mm,
such
it
a
was a good show.
good show.
Yeah.
And then we'd only been back from Greece a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden
Mm,
we were gone again. It
yeah.
was just nuts.
Mm.
Just nuts. And as we discussed before, like everything sprang into action then, and we started
Oh, yeah.
doing things online. Me and Kath and Andrew started knocking walls down and drinking cocktails at 2 in the afternoon, and we did, didn't we? Yeah.
I mean, you'd been practicing that way
Yeah,
before.
we have. Um, what has been your favorite show? I know that was your favorite memory, but
Yeah.
your actual favorite show of the last 10 years?
Oh my gosh.
Could be theatre
It's
school, could be
hard.
productions, could be a one-off
Yeah.
cabaret night, could be anything.
Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot now. Um,
I
I
know, it's
it's
tricky.
really tricky. There's been so many beautiful
I know.
moments from every kind of show.
Yeah.
Um,
Hairspray must have been up there
Hairspray is up there. It's, that was
because you
our,
played a pretty epic Tracy Turnblad.
well, just
It
saying.
was it was it was
Yeah,
it was
I
fabulous.
I did enjoy that.
And that show was the only production that we've done in 10 years where I've actually sat in the audience and watched it.
Yeah,
Only one.
yeah,
And that's because it was, mainly adults, and the couple of kids that were there were chaperoned,
yeah.
and I could sit out there quite
That's it.
comfortably
Yeah,
and watch it. I think I
and
sat
that,
for all 6
yeah,
productions.
yeah.
Oh,
I
6
think, yeah,
performances, sorry.
that show though was so tight, and everybody in that
Oh, he's
company,
slick.
they were on it,
Yeah,
and even being in the show and choreographing it, I
yeah,
knew that I didn't have to worry about. Do they know what they're doing?
yeah.
Because you could see even in rehearsal rooms,
Oh,
they were
it
going off
was
and doing their
awesome.
own little bit, and you just
Yeah.
think to yourself, "Oh, this is something special."
Oh my
And I
gosh, yeah.
think, yeah, Hairspray was up there with fall
But is
productions.
it your favorite show?
Mm. Hairspray is a favourite.
Yeah.
It is. It's always been a favourite.
Hairspray was a favorite. I
Yeah.
think for me, if we were looking at actual theatre school, I think I said before, was definitely Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
So
Yeah, yeah,
beautiful,
you did.
so
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
I also one that is always in a bit of my heart is 9 to 5, because
Oh,
that was a
love
crazy
that
week
show.
as well,
Yeah,
because
that
obviously the Queen passed
oh,
away that week.
me and Kath back trying to
Oh
record
yeah,
messages just in case it happened.
yeah,
And
and it did.
And I just remember saying to you, Kath, like, when and ever are we ever going to end up doing this again?
Never,
Never.
ever.
This would never happen again.
No.
It's once in a lifetime kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I remember you just ringing from London, going, "All right, okay, we've got to sort this out."
Yeah,
And
and
yeah,
I was so grateful at that time that I was in London, and obviously
yeah,
I was part of the senior management team at the other
yeah,
palace,
yeah.
and our theatre was just off Buckingham Palace Road,
That's
so
it.
we were
Yeah.
in the thick of it.
Mm,
And what was really good is I was taking, obviously, it sounds so thing, but because where we were situated, we were getting direct communication from the palace.
oh, right.
We were
Yeah.
getting direct communication from the police force, all
Wow.
these
Yeah, yeah,
special
yeah.
agencies, because they didn't know where they were going to lock down the whole
I
area.
get you.
Obviously,
Yeah.
with big occasions like that, there was massive threats on kind of things like
Mm.
worries about terrorism and
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
type of stuff,
yeah.
civil unrest, blah 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 blah.
Mm.
So I was getting some really good intelligence, like
Yeah.
straight away. I felt like I was a bit like James Bondy, um, but I could pass it
J
back to,
Bond
J Bond.
with his martini in the
Double O
corner.
Eight. That's going to be the theme for my birthday party.
Perfect.
J Bond,
Double
Double
O
O
eight.
Eight. um, but I was getting some really good information, which I could pass back to you guys, and we kind of
Mm.
got things up and running
Yeah,
really
yeah,
quickly,
that's
didn't
it.
we?
That's it. Yeah. And
Crazy.
even there, though, the communication from yourself and like between me and Kat, it kind of, even then, it kind of was like, right,
Yeah,
no, we're going to do this. It's very, to the
yeah,
point, and we're going to get it done. But no,
yeah.
that was a lovely show, though,
It
regardless
was
of
a
all
beautiful
the,
show.
yeah. But it was that whole thing of, are we not going to go on? Are we not? Because we
I
thought at one point we
honestly,
might have to
yeah.
cancel. And
And when
yeah.
we had a obviously note from the royal household that
Mm,
said performances are expected to go ahead
yeah.
tonight and blah blah blah. Um, you know, please announce something, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I remember vividly, I stood at the back of the auditorium in the other palace.
Mm,
Heather's the musical was going on that night,
yeah.
and one of us, one of the senior leadership team, had to go on stage to announce the Queen's death.
Oh.
And I was like, "Well, I'm not doing it." And the programming manager, she's like, "I'm
Yeah.
not doing it." I was like, Beth, theatre, lovely lady, one of the
Mm.
best ladies in the world. Beth was like, "I'm gonna have to do it." I was like, "Yes, you are." And I just remember standing at the back, and she read out, obviously pre-printed,
Yeah, yeah.
pre-planned statement, read it out, asked for a moment of silence, and then they played the national anthem. I sobbed. I sobbed. And that night, which is unsurprising for me, but that night, I walked home, and my walk home would be up Buckingham Palace Road, turn right onto the
Mm,
Mall, up the Mall,
yeah.
um, Trafalgar and up that way,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
live
yeah.
just off Covent Garden. And I literally turned. I came off Buckingham Palace Road, came onto the Mall, and all the black cabs were lined up. I don't know why I'm looking at
Oh.
Kath telling the story as well. All the black cabs were lined up, parked up the Mall. All the
Yeah. Oh,
cabbies
wow.
standing out, just looking at the palace.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
god! Even now it gives me shivers.
Yeah.
Literally.
I
And I got
bet.
home. Gemma wasn't there because she had come down to do 9 to 5, to be
Yeah,
here for 9
yeah.
to 5.
That's it.
And I was coming down later in the week.
Yeah.
And I just went to bed and cried. It
Oh,
was such an emotional time.
yeah.
And whether you're a massive royalist or not, I didn't think
No.
it mattered.
No.
I think at that time it was just like, ooh,
Yeah.
like it was just so emotional.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Exactly.
Crazy.
Got to be in the thick of it as well. Yeah.
Oh, mad,
Yeah.
mad. There we are.
Mhm.
So it's 10 years' time.
Mm.
We're sitting back in the podcast studio. What has happened? Where
Oh,
do you see the company in the
I've-
next 10 years?
Hopefully I've had a few more birthdays.
Yeah,
Hopefully
well.
I'm still here. So yeah, that's that. Well, I just see the company still thriving. I'm, hopefully, I'm still capable of doing some dancing in some shape or
Here's
form
hoping, eh?
on my Zimmer frame or
Yeah.
whatever.
You borrow Sam's.
Yeah.
We
The
got it for
blow
her
up one,
birthday.
yeah. um, yeah, I can just see us, just keeping on pushing forward. Obviously you guys are podcast stars at that point. Maybe you've left us behind.
Hey,
Who knows?
we're international.
Yeah, I know.
We have had listeners in the United States, in Russia, and in Spain.
Hi.
Hola. Does anybody know the Russian word for hello? I don't. I'm not even going to attempt it. Yeah,
Be safe.
international
Play it
hand
safe.
sign. Yeah, wave.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Any productions that you would love to see us do in the next 10 years? Don't say Witches of Eastwick. Witches of
Witches of Eastwick, I would love to do. That's like a bucket list
Yeah,
one.
it's a good show.
While I'm young enough to play a witch.
Yeah.
Please.
Any others?
Gypsy.
Ooh.
I'd love to be Mama Rose.
Okay, we're not just talking about what you want
I
to
know,
play, right?
but you're just saying,
We're thinking
shows you
about
like
the
I'm thinking about
hundreds of
me.
kids,
Yeah,
right?
hundreds of kids. Yeah, they can do whatever they want to do. But yeah, for me personally, if any other show people are doing it, you don't want to do it, I'll do it with you.
I would love to see a British transfer of Beetlejuice Jr. because it is available in America.
Was it?
And I would just love to see the kids do that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So they
We've
got
got a
10 years to
coffin.
figure that out. Yeah, yeah.
So we'll bring that one back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else
That
you'd
would be
love to
good.
see them do?
Not Susical.
No, you don't like
Never
Susical.
Susical. Yeah.
I would like to go back and do. There's so many shows that we've done in the last 50 years. I would like to maybe go back and
50
pick up on a
years?
couple.
50 shows.
Oh, 50 shows.
Back in my day.
When I was just a wee
When
child.
Stage 8 turns 50.
I'd like to revisit a couple of them. I'd like to revisit The Wizard of Oz eventually.
Yeah.
I'd like to revisit Annie. And I'd like to put a new spin on Annie. There's a few I'd like to go
Annie,
back to.
she's a 42-year-old woman.
Yeah, working in a
in Stage 8 as a deputy assistant creative director.
Look,
Tomorrow,
again, trying to give yourself a lead part.
What can I do? No, do you know
Terrible.
what? I'd love to do, and it's very, very, thing. But well, I think it can happen. 1 year to do a tap dancing show with the kids.
Oh, there is 42nd Street available
Yeah,
for younger.
but I think that
players.
show would have to. We wouldn't be able to get that up and running in so much. Like we'd have to do that in a long spell of thing. But I think that would be like. I'd love to give it a go.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
And then I could be a really old tap dancer in the.
All about her. All about her.
See, I used to be a wallflower, and now look at me. Pick me, pick me.
I know, we're there, yeah. The confidence has changed. Right, so we're going to end our podcast with a quick fire round, okay? No time to think. Here we go. Favourite show of all time?
Hairspray.
Stalls or Circle? Where'd you like to
Circle.
sit? Circle.
I like seeing the patterns.
Andrew Lloyd Webber or Stephen Sondheim?
Sondheim.
Ooh. On stage or off stage?
On.
Play or musical?
Musical, but I do love both.
I love a cheeky play.
Yeah.
I do. And
I've only been in 2 plays in my entire life. I'd love to be in more plays.
Yeah, maybe
we
we'll
should do a play.
in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
West End or best friend? Would you rather go see a show in the West End on your own or take me, your best friend?
Go on my own. No. We're going to see Brigadoon.
That was a bad idea.
We're going to see Brigadoon.
We're going to go see Brigadoon.
Yeah.
We will. Can we actually book that?
Yeah, I'd love that.
Slay.
Slay.
Dream role to play?
One of the Witches of Eastwick or Mama Rose and Gypsy.
And your miscast role. So what part would you love to play but is totally unsuitable for you?
Oh,
Could be any gender, any whatever.
anyone in Miss Saigon. I love the musical. I
Fabulous.
love Miss
Yeah,
Saigon.
and you will never be in
I'll
it.
never be in it
Fabulous. Fabulous.
unless I play Ellen.
Yeah. I'm not doing it. Kath, have we got a budget for a helicopter?
We'll film it coming in
Yeah, yeah.
with someone's
Helicopter,
fingers.
helicopter. Eve, thank you so much for being a fabulous guest on our
You're welcome.
podcast. Thank you so much. You've been
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to everybody who is listening, watching, and all that stuff, thank you so much. The response to this podcast has just been phenomenal. Please make sure you like this episode, follow us, subscribe, and keep an eye out for all our specials that go out on a Friday. So from us, we will see you soon.
Bye.